Hey, welcome to Date Night with Joe and Tal.
In the day,
In the
as
day.
always.
As always, yep.
Date night in the day.
Because we don't have any lights. I have
Or nights.
what I've learned is unfortunately, a very dry cigar. My humidor is not doing its job. But I'm going to try and smoke it nonetheless. See how that goes.
Like, what happened? You just eat that? Why are you...
I'm trying to stick it on there again.
You need Mod Podge.
I don't
I don't think you're supposed to swallow that.
Tastes gross.
Yeah, you don't want that. I'm in Mod Podge world this week.
What, pray tell, shall we talk about today?
Well, glad you asked, Joseph. First of all, do you like my party pony?
I do.
I'm rocking it.
Looks good. Are you having a party?
Duh. Aren't you? My thought was that, so this week in education, sound like the beginning of a newscast. Mm-hmm. You picked up that layer of cigar with your lip when your lip went up. It like stuck to it. I'm distracted by this right now, so I can't.
I can feel it.
Concentrate.
Sorry.
No, I'm intrigued. This week in education, I found myself more than one time relating to kids and telling them about the way I was or what I experienced when I was in elementary school. So I thought, what a good date night day topic. We can talk about the kind of kids we were during our elementary years, middle school years, and high school years. Because it does change.
Yeah. Well, not for me. I was an angel all of those years. Every single one of them. Just ask my mother.
I have talked to your mother. And I believe that you're lying. I mean, we've talked about the fact that when you were younger, you hurt yourself a lot. So we don't have to like rehash that part of it. But I think it would be good just to like understand some of your like mannerisms or characteristics, or like definitely in middle school, you know how like there was always the categorization in middle and high school of like, were you a band geek? Were you a popular kid? Were you a
preppy?
Yeah.
Sure.
So.
Okay. You want me to go first?
I would love it if you went first. Well, let's just start in elementary.
Okay.
And you can also tell like what kind of school bus, you know, like give us your demographic situation too.
Do what?
Like I rode the bus or I walked or whatever, and then I.
Well, yeah, no, I rode the bus all the way from first grade up till.
Because you were out from your school.
11, yeah.
Something on your lip.
Tobacco. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I was fairly far away from the high school, especially, but the junior high and elementary school were pretty close together, and that was the thing too. As I went through, kindergarten to 6th was my elementary school. Junior high was 7th and 8th. High school was, of course, 9th through 12th. But in grade school, I don't know. I was probably a little snot.
Are you talking about like a snot to other kids, to teachers, to adults, to your parents? Like when you say snot, I mean, I could go, really?
No, I wasn't.
I couldn't really see you like that.
I know I've mentioned in the previous videos that as a kid, I had a pretty bad temper.
That I could imagine.
And so that played out sometimes, I think. But in school, I don't know. I always felt like I was pretty well liked, at least through grade school. Got along with everybody for the most part. I remember spending a lot of time sitting on the edge of the playground during recess drawing. Like,
really?
Yeah, me and my good friend Josh, we would sit and draw together. We'd like make up our own Garbage Pail Kids or...
During recess? See, you can't even take out materials these days. You wouldn't be allowed to have a pencil on the playground.
Well, after we'd clean our teeth with our knives, we would
after we give ourselves lethal injection.
Yeah, no.
Injection.
But no, yeah, we would draw a lot. I mean, we also played like all those different, just tag and basketball and soccer and stuff.
Yeah, what was your favorite, not if you exclude drawing, like what was your favorite thing to do on the playground?
Probably just play around on the equipment. One memory that stands out to me is there was like 4 or 5 girls in one of my classes, and they were back by the end of the playground, and they had gathered like all the leaves that had fallen, and they had made them in lines, but they basically made like a house.
Mm.
And so like this is a living room. And so I remember I went over, I was a part of that. And I just remember thinking that was really cool. I don't know why.
I feel like that's something I would have done because after asking you, like, I don't even remember. I was scared of everything. Or not scared, just intimidated. I didn't like the equipment. I didn't like if someone wanted to play Foursquare unless it was my friend. Like if it were just a group of kids and they're like, we're going to play kickball.
Yeah.
I had bad experiences with that. Kids were really mean. I was a little on the chubbier side. Not like real bad, but like it doesn't take much for kids to make fun of you.
Yeah, I know. I wasn't chubby. I was short, and some of the pictures I have a terrible haircut, but I was fat.
You wore cute, oversized clothes.
Oh well, that was called being poor and hand-me-downs. But yeah, but I was fast. Like I could run.
I
really
believe
fast.
it. That's why I always say I think you should have played soccer. You just have the stature of a really good soccer player.
Yeah. Well, I didn't.
There's always tomorrow.
Yeah.
You should really
talk about being
start
in pain.
moving in your Agassi days.
Yeah. That's tennis.
Beckham. That's what I meant.
Okay.
Whatever.
You know, Andre Agassi, that soccer player who scores a touchdown.
It's weird when I said that. I remember I was at the library recently and I saw a video with his face on it. And I remember
Who?
in my
Beckham or
Andre Agassi.
Agassi?
And I remember when I saw it, I was like, man, I remember him looking very different because in my mind I was thinking of David Beckham having watched that documentary. Now it all makes sense. Duh.
Well, and
I'm having
Agassi
a
himself went through a transformation. He had that, I guess it was a wig. He had really long hair.
He did?
Yeah.
That was his real hair.
Was it?
I don't think that was a wig.
He went pretty.
Didn't he have a mullet or something?
He went pretty bald. I don't know.
Well, you can go bald from long hair.
Yeah, I guess that's interesting. I'll have to look that up. I don't know. I always thought it was fake.
It'd be real hard to play tennis in a wig.
Maybe it was like sewn on.
Like
like
what do they call those? Anyway, interesting. I was definitely what would be categorized back then as a tomboy. These days, who knows what you would call it?
Is category, pick your 1 million different types of categories.
Yeah, these days it'd be like, I guess I was meant to be a boy and I'm changing myself. I don't know. But back then it was just a matter of like I have always
I would say, did you shut down?
No.
What happened? Where'd you go?
No, I was just recently talking to our daughter about this because I could be as girly on one hand, but I also could get dirty and be just as much rugged. And I'm still that way. I love getting really dressed up. But I mean, like,
you're you. That's who you are.
Yeah.
And there is no like, oh, well, you're this or that. Or it's like, no, I'm me, and this is what I like to do.
And I think I'm just a little bit of everything anyway. We were, anytime we play like Would You Rather, I'm like, yeah, I want to do all of that. And I've always been that way. Like, give me just the mixed bag. So I really loved tree climbing and nature.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And I think when I was out on the playground, that's probably like more of what I did was like want to play with nature things. I was not into the equipment, and I'm still not really someone that likes.
Yeah, you never want to touch any of the workout equipment on the trail.
No. Or in our basement.
You skirt away from that big.
No, I think it wasn't until I was an adult that I actually was intrigued by those pieces of equipment. Usually, I mean, like the monkey bars, and we used to have those kids. Do you remember those? I don't even see them on the playgrounds anymore, but they were like the domes of.
Yeah, monkey bar domes.
Those aren't like monkey bars, though.
Well, but they're the same process.
Same thing.
Principle. Yeah.
But there would be kids that would climb up those and then sit on the top, and I was like,
I was
never.
one of them.
I believe it.
Yeah, that's how I met my friend Doug. He would swing from the bottom ones, and I would try and pry his fingers off.
You were a jerk.
Well, he was like super tall.
Oh.
He was held back a grade, and he was super tall. So, like, if he fell, he just
We're almost
yeah,
there.
he was already there. So,
wow, you really shook the camera on that one. That was like
sorry,
shaky
folks.
camera.
Yep, sorry about that. But you mentioning the tree thing, I do remember being in trees a lot and tree houses, and it made me think about my dad's construction site. I spent a lot of time there. was like a big jungle gym
Yeah.
for a kid.
Well, and I always loved, I mean, we didn't live in the country until I was in middle school, but as a young adult, like we would ride our bikes and go far. And we would go to this, you know, what felt like a far off place that was actually a playground by Ace Hardware. I think we've talked about that in a previous video. But like once we grew up, we were like, oh, that's literally
Across
on a
the
main
street,
thoroughfare.
yeah.
But it seemed like we were going a magical way to the secret playground, we called it.
Yeah.
And we would picnic back, we would put lunch in our backpacks and ride our bikes and then picnic back there and walk through the woods and the creeks. And I mean,
if we went into the woods and we made it to the train tracks, we thought we'd gone like to
and
China.
it was probably like less than a mile.
Yeah, it was like, oh my gosh, we're so far.
But I always appreciate when kids are still playing outside and, you know, like when ours go on an excursion or like to.
Yeah, our son was really into exploring the creek behind our house for a while there, looking for different rocks and stuff. And
For a day or so.
it's about right.
Whereas our
That's about
daughter
right for him.
wants to like be a wilderness girl and kill rabbits and live outside.
Yeah.
So she says. Anyway, but yeah, I've always been an outdoors.
Do you remember that when she was like, Mom, if I catch this rabbit, will you cook it?
Yeah.
And you're like, yes, honey. If you can catch that rabbit with that stick in your hand, I will cook that rabbit for you.
And then we told her that, and then she was like, I never said that.
We didn't
For the
have
longest
to.
time.
Yeah, we didn't have to cook a rabbit.
Well, I knew I wasn't going to cook a rabbit for many reasons. That's gross. Anyway, so that was, growing up, bike riding, tag, outdoors, trees. We did a lot of wiffle ball in the backyard. I remember only having like a close knit group. I was in Girl Scouts, so like those girls were my friends, and then my friends were our neighbors. Like 8 of them lived across the street, and that was my best friend growing up till she moved.
Wow. Yeah, I had a couple of good friends in my neighborhood, and we all kind of hung out together. But yeah, besides them, like I said, I got along with pretty much everybody in grade school. And then when I went to junior high, that all kind of changed.
Yeah, what was your junior high experience?
Well,
like?
so backing up a little bit, I started out in band in 5th grade.
Oh, in 5th grade?
Yeah. So I think in like 4th grade, you play the recorder or whatever. And then I played saxophone in 5th grade.
I don't remember having an instrument option. Plus, I moved schools in between 5th and 6th.
So, well, so that was the start of it. And then I essentially played saxophone from 5th grade until 12th grade. So I went through all the...
I don't think I realized you were that committed. No, I knew you played and I knew you were a band kid, but I just always assumed it was like 9th through 12th. I never really thought about the fact that you'd been doing it since you were in like 5th grade. You could probably really rock out the sax. Have you ever played saxophone for me?
No. I have it, but it needs to be repatted and like
Take
cleaned.
It to the place and let's hear your tunes.
Some Kenny G.
Do you think you can still play pretty well?
I don't know about pretty well, but I still know all the notes. It'd be interesting to see.
I know.
But yeah, that would take some work to get back up to the saxophone, to get it back up to playing.
Saxophone?
Saxophone. But yeah, nothing screams Mr. Popular when you're carrying a band instrument through the parking lot of junior high kids so you can put it into the band room in the morning.
So with that, I think it was 6th grade when I got that short haircut and wore oversized sweaters and had to carry a clarinet onto the bus. That is not a welcoming situation.
Not a good time.
No, not when you're, especially like you're a fairly new kid. Your mom gets you a haircut and she's like, yeah, it'll be kind of spiky and cool. And it's like boy short.
It's like Mo from the Three Stooges.
No, if I find a picture, I'll put it in there. At least I had my ears pierced, so it wasn't like too off-putting. Felt a little, but that's, you know, when you're like a chubbier 6th grader and then you have boy short hair, it's like a horrible combination to try to feel at all.
Yeah,
like you're keeping up with the poppies.
Yeah. So yeah, and then that's when in junior high I kind of some of the friends that I knew had in grade school kind of just were gone, and some of the friends became kind of quote unquote enemies that just were, you know, mean and made fun of me, but I was also kind of a weird kid. Like I'd hum to myself walking down the hall, which our daughter does. She she hums to herself, and I
Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm-mm.
love it. I think it's the cutest thing. I used to do it all the time. My friends would make fun of me, and I just didn't think.
I sing to myself all the time. I don't know if
Mm,
I don't. I have a situation with humming that I don't care for.
yeah, I know,
No, I'm kidding.
but
Um,
that was, and it was. I remember I got ISS, in school suspension,
I know what that
because
is.
I got into a fight.
Oh,
Yeah, some kid would not leave me alone, and he kept pestering me, and it had gone on for a while. And so finally, we were leaving school. This bell had rung, and the hallway was packed, and he did something to me. And so I turned around and grabbed him by like the shirt, and I shoved him against the locker.
I don't think I've ever heard this story.
Yeah, I pushed him across the hallway into the locker, and I said
Gosh,
something.
that's hot.
I said, I said, knock it off, stop messing with me, or something like that. Of course, the teacher was right there, saw both of us, and then she's like, "You and you, what are your names?"
I wish you would have been able to like deck him in the face like that. You need to
Mm.
add that in. Nobody will question it.
He
Give
was,
him a good.
and he was. The thing that's weird is that he was like messing with me the whole time, and he was like way shorter than I was, and I was short in junior high.
So he just felt insecure. So he did that to you to
So
feel
anyway, we
better
both
about himself.
we both got 3 days of in school suspension for that, that little incident. But yeah, junior high was rough because like kids would just pick on you, and everything was, you get made fun of for anything and everything, and the classes are starting to get a little bit harder. So that was a little bit of a rough time, but I got through it in just 2 short years.
I had fun in junior high. I actually really enjoyed. I met some really good friends. I had a group of friends that we actually got to know each other pretty
Now,
quickly.
what grades were your junior high?
6, 7, 8.
Okay, so you went through kindergarten through fifth.
Yeah.
And then 6, 7, and 8.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I went K5, and then we moved, and then I started a new school 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But junior was 6, 7, 8. So that's when I met a really good core group of friends. I had my first boy-girl party in 7th grade. I knew like kind of a mix of popular kids. I think since that time, I've been the person that like I've not had a main categorized group of friends. I kind of love everybody.
I can see that.
And I enjoy the differences of everyone. So that's the part that
it's just like wanting to do everything.
Yeah.
Like you like everybody, you want to do it, like try all the things.
Don't stick me in one category. I'll get bored with it anyways. But I did a lot of plays, and I was singing, and I did a lot of I tried a lot of sports when I was in middle school. So I played soccer for a little bit in 3rd grade, and
so I never played any sports.
I tried a lot of sports. I played softball in 6th and 7th grade or 7th grade. Yeah. Then in 9th grade, I was really into theater, singing, and I was on the pom team, which was like the halftime dance team, not a cheerleader, but like we did the halftime shows. That was super fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So junior high and 9th and 10th grade I was pretty universal, involved in a lot of things. By 10th grade, I felt like, do you remember that scene on Teen Wolf where he walks down the hall and he's like, and like everybody knows him and he's like high-fiving? That's how I felt in 10th grade. I was like nominated for junior class vice president the following, that would be for 11th grade.
Wow.
And I was on the Thespian Society, and I was going to be vice president of that in junior year. And I was in our plays and had just gotten first place on the improvisational team a couple times, and
wow,
living large.
Yeah, no kidding.
And then it all changed.
Downhill from there.
And then it all changed.
You peaked in 10th grade.
I did.
Yeah, I was high school. I was in band, so I was a band geek. In high school, it's very much like there's preps, jocks, band geeks, blah blah blah, all that freaks, nerds. So I was a band geek, and I got along with pretty much everybody in the band. That was a pretty tight knit group of friends.
I always admired the band crew because I was in color guard, but again, I was in like Poms and theater, so I wasn't ever really like a band person. We would go on the band trips because we would go to like competitions and like do the color guard stuff, but they always seemed like their own entity, like ride or die friends. So you were that. You were in that.
Mm-hmm.
Not with me because we didn't go to the same school.
Mm-mm.
But I feel like band people like stick together. Like
Well,
they got each
well,
other's
and
back.
I think it's because we always feel like we're on the outside of all the other groups.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to. So, yeah, I wasn't a popular person. Did terrible the first 2 years as far as grades go. Finally got my act together a little bit by my junior year, so I could graduate in 4 years. And yeah, and that was kind of it. I started working at Pizza Hut when I was 16, and I started working with some of the popular girls in our school and some of the popular guys. And so that was kind of fun to get to know them. But then I would say hi to them in the school and they would just totally ignore me.
I hate that.
Come on.
Be who you are. Like, why do people have to be like that? I never understood that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when I moved, it was kind of difficult because the demographics, the community was very different. It was just a hard transition. I got a job when I moved in between 10th and 11th grade.
Okay.
So it was a hard transition, but I still got really involved. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I didn't go like goth and then never talk to anybody and like stay in my room all the time. I mean, I still got involved. It was just very difficult. But what I did was I inherited a group of friends through my first job at a fast food place that were significantly older than me.
That's bad news.
So that was bad news. But it was kind of weird because I guess, like simultaneously living two lives is sort of how it felt. Because when I would hang out with that crew, it was just bad news bears. They were 5 years older than me. So they could all like buy alcohol and they were doing things that older people do that I shouldn't have done yet. But then I was also like in theater and in choir and
What'd you inquire about?
How to make friends. And I dated popular people. I mean, it's just like it was again kind of a mixed bag. But
Sounds
then
like the opposite of my experience.
But then you put on top of it like being exposed to some things, and I made a lot of bad choices, and I started getting into a lot of curiosity.
Killed the cat.
So that,
Yeah.
But actually, now that I think about it, I guess I've been the same kind of person my whole life, really.
Yeah. Hopefully, I hope that I've mellowed a bit from my angry, quick-tempered little self when I was a kid, but probably got a ways to go. Yeah. Well, clearly I do.
No, you have grown even since I've known you. Over the course of 2 years. No, we know each other a bit now.
Yeah. So that's interesting though. That yeah, and
I never really thought it through. But I also think that I wish maybe I've always had, I don't know. I feel like junior high was figuring out confidence, but I feel like I've always kind of been semi-confident because you can't I tried out for like theater and different things and you can't really do that without having some confidence. So I guess I've always, sort of maintained some level of confidence.
Yeah, that's good.
But
I had none.
You still struggle with that. I wonder what it is. But I also, I think we've shared this too. Like, it also depends on like what people are feeding you in terms of, are you getting built up or is someone giving you like, you may not be able to do that? Because
tearing you down.
Yeah. See, because I always got from a lot of different angles, you can do that. Like no matter what, you can do that. And so I feel like I just believed that. It was sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Well, and that's what they say it is. It's like the people who feel like they can't do it are typically correct. And the people who feel like they can do it are typically correct. It's like, yeah, it's interesting.
And I don't think I'm a confident person where I'm like, hey, I can do it. But I feel like I'm willing to take a chance. And like, even if I don't know what I'm doing, I'll do it until I figure it out.
Mm-hmm. That's a good trait. Unlike some that will just try it once and then give up.
You're not that. I mean, you're consistent, but you will talk yourself out of it the whole process. Like, I'm not really good at this. I'm not really good at this. You'll keep doing it, but you won't. You'll talk yourself out of. So I guess we're built to be a certain person. Do you think?
Yeah, the book I'm reading, the wealthy.
How to be a better person?
No, it's called The Wealthy Gardener. He talks about how we have specific innate abilities, like obviously, and squirrels climbing up the side of the.
Shimmying. It's holding something in its mouth.
It's going up the side of the house.
Squirrel.
Anywho, it's we're all born with certain innate abilities, and we will thrive the most when we accept those and utilize those. And so when you say, or maybe we're all supposed to be specific people, and I think that that's very much a part of it. Is you have certain innate traits as well as personality traits and talents and abilities, and some things come easier for you than others, and that's where you focus and thrive in.
Well, and there is a buzzword or phrase, being self-aware, and I think that that's a huge part of not only finding peace and contentment of where you are, but like just that knowledge of understanding who you are and being able to sort of accept it through different situations. So like knowing that I get distracted or I can't concentrate or that I'm actually introverted and need time to like I can have conversations with myself, not out loud, because that's kind of crazy. But, even during a day at my job, I can say, okay, I'm a person that like, if everyone's talking to me at the same time, I just can't. And I give myself grace. And then I think through how can I get through this moment?
Yeah.
Right. So like, but I wish I would have had that awareness early on. And you don't. You have to grow and understand it as you grow and mature. But it would be so much easier to get through things like middle school and high school if you had some awareness of not only is it okay to be XYZ.
You don't have to be like everyone else.
Right.
But at the moment, you think, well, I'm not like them, so I must be failing.
Yes.
I must be no good. Where as opposed to like, this is who I am, and I'm going to excel at who I am.
And on the flip side, I feel like we almost cater to diversity a little too much in the sense that we want everyone to, I guess we overcompensate because now it's like, well, you are who you are and then you don't have to do this, or we give excuse to things and then people don't have to work and try hard anymore.
I sent you
I saw that with the Band-Aid.
Oh my gosh, it's such a great, so there's a third grade teacher. She asked if anybody has ever
it started because they were saying that the inclusiveness in the classroom, that some kids are getting treated differently and it's not fair.
Yeah, and so her lesson was she asked any of the kids if they had ever bumped their head, and a handful of them raised their hands, and she gave them a Band-Aid for their elbow, and the kids were quite confused, and she then said, has anybody scraped their knee? A couple kids raised their hand, and she's like, well, here's a Band-Aid for your elbow. And again, they were very confused and could not understand why they had Band-Aids when they hurt their knee or their head, and the Band-Aid was for their elbow. And she said, well, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but did everybody get a Band-Aid? Yeah. Was it useful? No. So if everyone is treated the same and everyone gets the same thing, it may not be beneficial to everyone. And then the moral was that, every person needs what they need to thrive, not what everyone else gets. And I thought that was awesome. That's such a great message. And it's one that needs to be preached.
The funny thing is most of the time when it comes to, now it's different if like you give someone a sticker, then we've got that situation where everyone thinks they get one, or they like button up their bad behavior to get one or whatever really quickly. But in terms of students that need accommodations, or if there's like a special needs student in the class, I have found that kids have been very accepting and understanding that that situation is going to be different than what they get.
Well, that's good.
Which is nice to see. Like, I don't know that when I've had to make accommodations for a student that needs a different material or method, it doesn't usually
result in an issue. That's nice.
And if it ever does, I'm usually like, I'm making this choice because I think they need something different. You're doing fine. I'll just like leave it at that. Like, you're good.
Well, we always say that with our son when he's like, well, that's not fair because our daughter will get something.
And they're significantly like different.
Yeah, they're 8 years apart. And
or
I'm like,
vice versa.
And
She'll say, that's not fair. Well, he's 8 years older.
Yeah, I was like, okay, well, do you want to go to bed when she does the same time? Or, vice versa. I was like, okay,
Do you want to do the jobs that he does?
do you want all the responsibilities he has? No. Well, you guys are different ages, different. I mean,
Yeah.
you're, one's a male, one's a female. You guys are going to have different things. So it's
One's
just
6'4", one's 4'8".
6 inverse. But no, that's interesting. That's a good topic. I appreciate you bringing that up.
You.
Yeah, it's always fun to learn about.
I think it also is good to take yourself back. Because whether you're parenting or maybe you're working with children or in a situation where you're, whatever it is, we easily forget what life was like during those moments. And to be able to empathize appropriately, I think you need to kind of go back and reflect on where you were. And so having even taken a little bit of time to do that, I think helps, because it's easy parenting or working with kids to just be like, what's your problem? Why don't you just do what you're supposed to or whatever? But if we think back, like, were we doing what we were supposed to?
Always.
Were we together? You just said you were a little brat, so I don't think that's true.
No, it's not.
Anyway, so yeah, I would just challenge anyone out there that is parenting or going through some difficult times with young ones or teenagers or whatever the case may be, to just take a minute and maybe think about who you were at that space and maybe find a new grace for it.
Easier said than done.
I'm fine with it.
Okay, well,
I'm just kidding.
some of us are doing much better in life than others, but regardless, we appreciate you guys stopping by for yet another chat. We hope you enjoyed it, and I'm sure we'll be back very soon with another date night day.
Date night days on the horizon. Have a great day, week,
Night.
life.